Welcome back to the channel. Today we continue exposing the economic disaster unfolding under Rachel Reeves, with today's figures showing that inflation is in fact rising again. Shocker. Is anyone really surprised? Apart from Rachel Reeves, of course. Stagflation is now firmly on the horizon. Growth is in the gutter. The British people are being hammered with taxes, rising costs, and now economic stagnation. All of this thanks to Labour's reckless policies. A real economist would have realised that record public sector pay rises and £40 billion worth of tax hikes, with many aimed at small businesses, would result in severe slowdown in growth. But we don't have a real economist, we've just got Rachel from accounts. 63% of businesses say tax, including national insurance, is now a concern, following the Chancellor's budget, the highest level since 2017. Business confidence has slipped to its lowest level since the aftermath of the mini-budget in autumn 2022. A majority of firms, 55%, now expect prices to go up in the next 3 months, with labour costs the biggest driver. Only 20% of businesses have increased investment in the past 3 months. 24% have decreased. Business conditions are weak, with only 24% of firms reporting increased cash flow and 30% a decrease. And if that wasn't enough, we've got the absolute scandal of Keir Starmer hosting a Muslim-only business conference. That's right, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom hosted a business event that specifically catered to one religious group only, while excluding others. Imagine the outrage of Rishi Sunak had hosted a Hindu-only business conference, or if the Tories held a Christian-only meeting. The double standards are staggering. Where's the business meeting for Christians, Catholics, Sikhs, Hindus, Jews? What about the atheists? Don't they run businesses too? Labour is always banging on about inclusivity, but when it comes down to their own policies, it's blatant discrimination. This is not just hypocrisy, it's a dangerous precedent. Starmer's playing identity politics in a way that divides us rather than unites us. And we all know why this is. It's because they're scared of losing the Muslim vote. Without the Muslim vote, Labour would quite literally cease to exist at the moment. And Starmer is scared of the rise of reform. And he's not only scared of the rise of reform, he's scared of the new breed of independents and small parties forming in the wake of Labour's failings. Now we have clowns like these two trying to start political parties.
We are going to put up candidates in every ward in Birmingham. We have mentioned it before. Now is the time to take action. We are going to launch an independent candidate alliance, and all of the candidates will be under that umbrella.
For far too long, the Labour Party and its councillors and members of Parliament have reaped the rewards on the back of our communities, and rather than represent them, have misrepresented them. No more.
It's because the councillors and the members of Parliament are subservient to their leadership rather than the people who have put them in power. We are no longer going to tolerate this.
Remember that.
Could you imagine if these two were left in charge? Reeves and Starmer were handed the strongest economy in the G7. Inflation was finally coming under control. All she had to do was not rock the boat too much and all would have been well. But thanks to Reeves' misguided policies, inflation is creeping back up. In January, inflation hit 3%, a 10-month high, and with unions already demanding even higher pay rises, it's only going to get worse from here. This means higher interest rates for longer, crushing mortgage holders, renters and businesses. Labour's war on enterprise, with hikes on national insurance and capital gains tax, sending businesses running for the exits. This government's actively suffocating the economy. Labour's policies have put Britain on a direct collision course with stagflation. This is the toxic mix of rising inflation and stagnant economic growth. If you thought things were bad now, just wait. With businesses facing higher costs and less investment, job creation is slowing. That means more people out of work and less money flowing through the economy, making the cost of living crisis even worse. So why is stagflation so bad? Well, it will worsen the cost of living crisis. High inflation means everyday goods and services become more expensive, but wages often don't keep up with rising prices, reducing people's purchasing power. And at the same time, economic growth stalls. So businesses stop investing due to high costs and the uncertainty in the economy, and job creation slows, leading to fewer opportunities and wage stagnation. That leads to rising unemployment. Companies struggle with high costs and weak demand, and they start cutting jobs. So more people out of work means less consumer spending, worsening the slowdown even more. And central banks, they don't have an easy fix for stagflation. Normally, high inflation is tackled by raising interest rates, but this also slows growth. So the Bank of England's hands will be tied in the face of very slow growth. If the government tries to boost growth with more spending, it fuels inflation further, and policymakers are stuck between choosing to curb inflation or stimulate the economy with no clear winner. If you remember the 1970s stagflation crisis, the UK and the US suffered stagflation due to oil price shocks, pushing inflation up while economic growth stalled. Interest rates soared to control inflation, leading to job losses and a deep recession. It took years, many years to recover. And the UK is at risk again now. Inflation is creeping back up, currently at 3% and rising. Labour's economic policies, including reckless borrowing and public sector pay rises, are increasing costs without boosting productivity. Interest rates remain high, making borrowing expensive for businesses and homeowners. And business investment is just drying up now, slowing economic activity. The bottom line is stagflation is one of the worst economic crises a country can face. If Rachel Reeves and Labour continue down their current path of tax hikes, borrowing and failing to incentivise growth, the UK could be staring down a stagflation crisis very similar to the 1970s, crippling households and businesses. And what's Reeve's response to all of this? More government interference, more borrowing, more tax hikes on hard-working people. Instead of stimulating growth, she's throwing Britain into an economic death spiral. If the Tories had delivered anything close to this mess, the media will be up in arms because it's Labour, we're expected to just sit back and accept it. I think there's a built-in tolerance for Labour. The economy has long been their weakest link and everyone knows it. So they don't seem to get as much grief as if it was the Conservatives who are almost expected to be strong on the economy. It's like we have just come to accept that Labour are mathematically challenged. So the alarm bells are more than ringing now on the economy. We need to wake up before it's too late. But this is unlikely to happen while we still have this incompetent lot in charge. Let me know in the comments what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.